Oh, YouTube, what is really good? My name is Inverted Color, coach of the South Texas Sableyes, and this is going to be your draft breakdown for Draft 2 of the APA. Now, if you don't know why this is Draft 2, basically what is happening this season is we're drafting 3 times throughout the league, and you use each team for 4 weeks. So the first team I inherited when Kyle dropped. Don't get me wrong, I ended up winning 2 of the 3 games I played with it, but I'm really glad that I'm moving on to the next team because that team wasn't very me. It did have some good threats, and I'm glad some of those mons will be in the pool. And if you don't know what I mean by that, basically we draft 3 teams, we use each team for 4 weeks, and then if you make playoffs, you get to build your team out of that pool of Pokemon is, I think, how I understand it. I don't know if you redraft for playoffs and you can only draft from what you've had previously, or if you just build a team based on what you've drafted in the past. I should probably confirm, but either way, we're drafting 3 times and then building a team out of the 3 drafts for playoffs. And this is the second team, which I'm much more excited about because I really like this team. But you know, let's just get into the draft. My name is in Vivid Color. I already said that, right? I'm coach of the South Texas Sableyes. Did I intro normally? I'm pretty sure I did. So let's just do this. So for pick 1, I went ahead and jammed Zygarde 50%. Now I had 3rd pick overall, so I think the first 2 things that went were Tapu Koko and... It was Tapu Koko, and then immediately after Tapu Koko was picked, Mew was picked. So I pretty much had pick of the litter. Like, don't get me wrong, I would probably also first pick Tapu Koko because it's a nuts Pokemon, but I had basically all of the good stuff still on the table, and I just went with Zygarde because it doesn't have switch-ins. I feel like that's the most common thing said about it, just because Thousand Arrows, if you don't know, it negates the effects of Levitate and the immunity that flying types have, and it just knocks everything down to the ground. So for like Celesteela, for example, at least I think this is how it works. For Celesteela, it would knock it to the ground and do neutral damage, and I think it would do super effective damage because it's no longer a flying type, I think. I don't know if it does super effective damage on the first hit, but I don't think it does. Either way, the moral of the story is Zygarde doesn't have switch-ins with Thousand Arrows, and there's a lot of ways you can build it. It can be Dragon Dance, it can be Coil, you can just build sort of like Band-Aid, Scarfed. I say a lot. All of the sets are really inclined on this is like either a late game cleaner or a breaker or sort of like your setup sweeper finisher. So it's really good. It's got a great typing. So the 4 times weakness to ice is rough, but hopefully we drafted around that a little bit. And speaking of trying to cover the ice weakness, we second picked Mega Scissor. I thought these 2 paired pretty well. Zygarde switches into fire hits really easily. I think it 4x resists them, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong about that? I should really, for someone who plays as much competitive mons as I do, I should really understand the type chart a little bit better. So it's just a normal resist. I guess for some reason I thought ground also resisted fire. It doesn't. Either way, we resist the fire hits. Scissor resists the ice hits. Scissor also gives us defog, so we have hazard control. We have the ability to set up with both of these mons. So both of these mons offer me setup sweepers. Scissor offers hazard control. It can be super bulky and roost up. Gives me priority. So both of these also offer me priority. Zygarde gets extreme speed. Scissor gets bullet punch, which is technician boosted. So I liked this pair both offensively and defensively. I'm looking forward to hopefully just, you know, being able to build teams where I have like dedicated switch-ins to things, and I have a lot more momentum. I can pivot around. I have better setup sweepers. I'm really looking forward to using this offensive. Like, in my opinion, this is like, what's it called? Like, it's like bulky offense, right? Like, I think that's what you would dub this so far. And then moving into our 3rd pick, this was kind of a rush pick for me. I kind of just snapped it off. I really wish I'd thought about it some more. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Necrozma is really good. But I wish I'd thought about it a little bit more. I think I'm gonna like Necrozma a lot. I've never used it, which I think in League format, I've never used any of these mons, like not a single one. I've used all of them on like ladder, like on Smogon ladder, but I've never used any of these in League. So Necrozma gives me hazards because it can set up stealth rocks. It gives me another mon that can recover because it has reliable recovery in moonlight and sunlight, or moonlight and morning sun. Good setup sweeper. I think it gets like Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, Swords Dance, and it can use realistically all of it. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it gets Nasty Plot. It might not. No, definitely just get Nasty Plot, but we can set up Calm Minds. Iron Defense is a set I've seen before, so you can like Calm Mind, Iron Defense. You can Sword Stance, you can Rock Polish to boost your speed. So a really common set I've seen is sort of like Double Dance, where you Rock Polish, Sword Stance. And also its signature move is Photon Cannon. Is it Photon? Photon Geyser. So it's 100 base power Psychic type move if you don't know. And it changes whether it's a physical or special move based on Necrozma's highest attacking stat. So if you're physically invested, it's a physical move, and if you're specially invested, it's a special move, and it also accounts for stat boosts. So, and I think it works this way: if you're like physically invested but you get intimidated and then your special attack is higher, it just defaults to a special attack. So at least I think it works that way. I don't know how burns affect it, but either way, it's just a nuke. Like, it always hits really hard, and it can be physical or special. Necrozma is really versatile. I'm super stoked to use it. Again, I kind of wish I'd thought about it, because I think it's a little expensive at tier 1. Like, I don't know if I consider Necrozma as a tier 1 mon. That's the only reason I said I wish I'd thought about it, because it cost me 180 of my free points just like from the get-go. Which, don't get me wrong, is probably fine. Like, it's probably okay. I wish I had thought about that a little bit more, but, you know, I do think that I'm gonna enjoy it. It's super versatile, so it can do a lot of things, which is what I look for when I'm drafting. I try to find things that are either versatile or they're really, really, really good at the one thing they do. Then I like how I just went off on a tangent about versatility. 4th pick is probably a little early for Sableyes. I will admit that. I've used Sableyes in the past. I really liked it. And at this point in time, I think all of the good fairies had been taken. So I thought I might as well just grab Sableyes. I think it was like even in tier 4, right? No, it was a tier 3 mon. I was thinking I might as well just grab Sableyes. It can be all types, and it's also just not a bad fairy if it's like a bulky fairy. Like, it doesn't do any of the cool things fairies do, like Wish Pass or act as a cleric, but it gets access to Parting Shot, which is I think one of my favorite moves in this game. If you don't know, Parting Shot is kind of a status form of U-turn or Volt Switch. So instead of doing damage, what it does is it lowers your opponent's special attack and attack by 1 stage. So it counts as like an Intimidate that switches you out that lowers special attack as well. I don't know, it was a really convoluted way of explaining it, but I really enjoy Parting Shot. Also, I mean, if I wanted to let this thing hold Dark NEMZ and not have it just be a normal type, like Z Parting Shot is amazing. I don't know if I'll do that, because more often than not, you want to type Sableyes, because his signature move, I just realized that basically all of these Pokemon have like their signature move. He gets a, what is it called? Why don't I know this? Why don't I know things before I start recording videos? He has a signature move, and his signature move is multi-attack. And multi-attack is whatever type Sableyes is, and Sableyes type changes depending on what memory you let it hold. There you go. There's your Sableyes breakdown in the middle of this draft breakdown. Either way, probably too early to take it, but again, I was 3rd pick, so when I took it, so I took Zygarde first, Mega Scissor on the way up, and then Necrozma on the way down. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I probably could have sat on it for at least one more pick. Like, I probably could have 5th picked it, because I'm not really a wheel pick, but 3rd is close enough to a wheel. I just wanted to lock it in. It fixes a lot of holes in teams, and its coverage is phenomenal. Like, I think if you look through just all the attacking moves it gets, I want to go out on a limb and say that it gets one move that's like reasonable, like not even bad moves. Like, it gets like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball. Like, it gets one move of each attacking type except Fairy. I don't think it doesn't get Play Rough, and it doesn't get D-Gleam or Moonblast. And I don't think it gets a fighting type stab unless you're like holding a fighting memory, which is kind of weird. But everything else, it definitely gets a hit on. Like, does it get a ground type attack? Does it get like Drill Run or something? You get Rock Slide. Does it not get a ground type attack? I thought it got one of everything except for those. I've looked at this before. Okay, so it also doesn't get a ground type attack. So there you go. Those are the only 3 though, I think. I'm probably wrong about this too, but who knows? Its coverage is really good. That's where you need to, that's where we're gonna leave this. Does it get Energy Ball? Does it get a grass type stab? Yeah, I don't know. I'm done talking about it. I'm done trying to like justify this thing's coverage. Its coverage is really good. We're gonna move on. 5th pick, I picked up Incineroar. I think Incineroar is maybe a little underpriced in this league. Intimidate is fantastic. Dark Fire is really good. I really like physical fire types because they can't be burned, so at least one of your physical mons can't be burned. That was actually like a tip I picked up from Kyle A. He's the one who I think taught me that, or told me it at first. I mean, it seems really obvious, but it's just something I never talked about. So, or not talked, it's something I never thought about. So, super, I don't know, it's just super versatile. Like Incineroar, it gets its signature move, which I don't know if its signature move is ever better than Knockoff, but it's cool to have all these mons with signature moves that I'm just now realizing. I mean, Bullet Punch is basically Mega Scissors signature move. Not really. Darkest Lariat, what does this do? Oh, I can't talk. It ignores target stat changes. That is actually pretty good. It even ignores evasiveness. So there you go. Intimidate's really good. Like, I was prepping for a battle just like right before I decided, like I just did a battle. Like, mind you, I just did my week 5 battle with Envy, and I was prepping for that battle, and just running calcs with Incineroar, like, it takes hits. Like, with Intimidate, you can switch into a Garchomp and take a hit. You can take an EQ, which is wild. I mean, I don't mean like switching on the EQ, because you'd be 2-hit KO'd by it every time. But you can switch in fresh, Intimidate, take an EQ, and then retaliate. I don't know, I think that's nuts. I think that's bananas. I don't know. I think Incineroar was maybe a little underpriced because like it gets U-turn. So we have a lot of pivoting here. So Silvally can pivot out with U-turn or Parting Shot. Incineroar can pivot out with U-turn. Mega Scissor can pivot out with U-turn. So I really, really like momentum in my teams. I like things that are bulky. I like things that are super versatile. This thing can be mixed. I mean, its attack stat's really high. I think at like 115. I shouldn't say really high. Its attack stat's good. Its speed stat's garbage, which is what holds it back the most. But I don't know, I think this mon's good. It's bulky, it's got base 95 HP, 90 defense, 90 SPDF, so can wear an assault vest pretty well because all of its good moves are damaging. It's a Will-O-Wisp user for whatever that's worth, but it also gives me a good dark type too, which is something that sometimes I just miss when I'm drafting. Like, I never pick up good dark types, and I think this one was I think it was underpriced. I think it was a super value pick in tier 4, and it gives me a physical fire type, momentum, fake out. So I think we also get like fake out priority, just a lot all in one. So I thought we had to pick it up. The Intimidate is also pretty nuts. So moving in around 6, we copped Swellow. This was more of a concession to the fact that I had 0 speed on my team. So far, like, Zygarde's base 95, Silvally's base 95, Incineroar's base 60, Mega Scissors base 70 or something like that, Necrozma's base 79. So I needed something to sort of breach these speed tiers, and honestly, I wanted Crobat, but then it got sniped, and this was still on the table. I was really, I think around my 4th pick, I think I wanted to 4th pick Zeraora, and then it went, which was super upsetting because I didn't realize Zeraora was tier 2. I guess in my mind, I just defaulted to it's a tier 1 mon, which it makes sense. It would be way overpriced in tier 1, I believe. So in tier 2, I think it's actually a good pick, and I probably should have 3rd or 4th picked it, to be honest, because that was going to be my speed on the team. But then plans fell apart. I didn't get Crobat. I didn't get Zeraora. So we picked the Swellow up. It's base 125 speed, so really fast. Only gets outsped by like those really fast mons like Crobat, Zeraora, and then also just a plethora of megas. But the new Choice Specs, I say new, but I think it's been around since like Gen 7. This like Choice Specs Boom Burst set is nuts. It also has its Gut set where you can just hold Flame Orb and destroy things with Facade and Brave Bird. So it has versatility, can U-turn out, which I super appreciate in mons that are kind of niched, because if they have one really clean answer to this Pokemon on their team, they probably switch out into it every time and you can just click U-turn. So I like this mon. I think it is a little bit more, it's not versatile in the way that my other mons are so far, but both of its offensive sets are really good. It offers basically 0 bulk though, but I needed the speed and the offense is nice. Like Specs Boom Burst hits like a truck, and it's also scrappy. I don't think I mentioned that. So it can hit ghosts. So it's not like these ghosts can just switch in and the hit is immune. So that's nice. We picked up Tentacruel to sort of offer, because I have a couple defoggers already, like I mean, Swallow is an awful defogger in my opinion, but Mega Scissor defogs, Sableyes defogs, but I really wanted Rapid Spin. I like having at least one spinner on my team. I've been leaning to this side forever. This is gonna look really weird in the video. I don't like relying on defog for all of my hazard removal, just because when I have my hazards up, I like them to stay up. So we picked this up. It's a good spinner. It sets Toxic Spikes, which is, I think, my favorite hazard. Maybe below Sticky Webs. I don't know. Those two are probably tied for me. I really like Toxic Spikes. Super specially bulky. Can take most special hits, even if they're super effective. Like this thing eats up T-bolts if you EV it right. Like T-bolts from strong things. Physical defense isn't great, but I also wanted a grounded poison type so I can suck up Toxic Spikes. I feel really bad when I end up with a team that doesn't have a grounded poison type and my opponent just has like a Toxic Spike mon. It feels not great. So I like having grounded poison types. Water poison's good defensive type. This also, I haven't drafted my grass type yet, but so I was gonna say Sableyes. Incineroar Tentacruel is sort of like I think the beginning to a pretty good, pretty bulky defensive water fire grass core. Tentacruel can be relatively offensive because it's got a base speed of 100, so it's faster than a lot of mons. It also just has a lot of utility, like knockoff is really good. I really like acid spray as an attack because it makes it to where Tentacruel can have 0 special attack investment, and then after an acid spray or 2 you can just like 1v1 all of these things with just Scald. I don't know, I really like Tentacruel. Big fan of the Pokemon. Love the utility it brings. Love the bulk it brings. It's offensively lacking, but there are ways to make up for that. So moving into the next, what pick are we on? I have 0 clues. I'm just gonna count because I'm an idiot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. All right, moving into the 8th pick. I guess I should have counted what hasn't been picked up yet. That would have saved me time. Okay, we picked up Breloom. Breloom, not entirely sure. I'm gonna say Breloom. I think that sounds nicer, but it could be Breloom. I picked this up because, I don't know. I think it's a weird Pokemon. I've always wanted to try it at least. It's super frail and it's slow. So that's not a good combination, but it's another Technician mon like Mega Scissor that gets a Technician boosted priority type attack. So we get priority Mach Punch that's boosted, so it's coming off at like a reasonable base power. The Bullet Seed that this thing gets hits really, really hard. Can set up with Swords Dance. Is one of, I think, 4 Pokemon. It's this, Amoonguss, Parasect, and yeah. So one of like 4 fully evolved Pokemon that gets Spore, which is the only 100% sleep-inducing move in the format. It's the only 100% sleep-inducing move in the game. So that's really cool. And also its other ability, I don't know if it has more than 2 abilities, but its other ability is Poison Heal, and Poison Heal is pretty sweet. Like you can build a pretty sweet like substitute Leech Seed holding Toxic Orb to trigger your Poison Heal set that's maybe a little bulkier. Like this thing, let's pull this little bubba up real quick, because I know it's pretty frail. It's like 60 HP, 80 defense, 60 special defense, so really frail. 70 base speed, but 130 base attack, so the Mach Punches are gonna hit hard. If you ever get to set up a Sword Stance and you either have paralyzed some things or you just naturally outspeed some of their like slower bulky mons, like this thing can just completely break. And again, just I really, after I had all this momentum, I kind of wanted sort of like a plethora of priority options, because I think priority wins games, and not always, but I think priority is a big contributing factor. Like if your team doesn't have priority, you don't sort of have that, I wouldn't even call it surprise factor, because we all know what mons get priority, but the ability to win in situations where you're just outclassed, where something has like 5 Dragon Dances set up, you know? I think this mon's good. I'm interested to use it. The other pick here was Sableyes, which I think was probably the better pickup. Like looking back on it, Sableyes offers you a setup sweeper and a lot of diversity, but I really just wanted to try Breloom, so here we are. Hopefully this thing puts in work. I will be utterly thrilled if we get some like sweet Breloom moments. So here's hoping. So 9th pick, I picked up Heliolisk, another mon that sort of like gives me a speed tier over 100. If there's one thing I can say that's like not great about my team, it's that my speed tiers aren't fantastic, but I have sort of like a lot of mons that can improve their speed through setting up or just priority mons. that was how I wrote it off, at least. So base 109 speed, base 109 special attack, really bad first 3 stats. So like HP is base 62, attack base 55, defense base 52. 109 special attack, 94 SPDF, so can maybe take a special hit every once in a while. It gets 3 really interesting abilities. Sandveil increases its evasion, and Sand, I don't think I'll bring that ever. I don't even know if it's allowed. I don't know if there's like an evasion clause that locks that out in this league. Some leagues do that. Solar Power increases its special attack by 1.5 times in Sun, so we can set up the Sun and go to town with some Thunderbolts and some Hyper Voices. That's another thing. It's dual stab coverage because it's an electric normal type. Like, Thunderbolt Hyper Voice is really, really good dual stab. Not many things resist it super well. And it also gets access to Surf. So like your ground type that's switching in better be fast. Or Surf might just like nug you really, really hard. And on top of that, another Volt Switch Mon gets access to Glare, which is a 100% paralysis inducing move. So that's exciting, something that I'll try to use. It's also just, it looks cool. I like this Mon. I think it offered me the speed I needed. All the other like fast-ish electric types were gone at this point. So it was kind of like, we were kind of locked into this. So moving into the 10th pick, picked up Diancie. I just have a lot of Pokemon that I don't know which way to pronounce it. I'm gonna say Diancie. No, I'm gonna say Diancie. Yeah, I like Diancie better. Super bulky. I want to say its defenses are like base 150. Yeah. So 150 on defense, 150 on special defense, 100 attack, 100 special attack, 50 HP, 50 speed. So really, really slow, which is good because it also gets access to Trick Room, I'm pretty sure. HP stat, not the best, so we're not setting up any fat subs with this thing, but that's pretty bulky. Like, I've been running calcs with this thing. It lives a lot of super effective moves that you wouldn't think it should. Like, I think I was running calcs with this thing versus, it wasn't a bullet punch from a scissor, but I think it was like an iron head from it was like a non-stab iron head, and it lived, and I was just like, wow, this thing's much bulkier than I expected. Also, Fairy Rock is a really good stab combination, and it gets Diamond Storm, which again, this is the theme, is another really sweet, what was the word I've been using? And now I've already forgotten. It's signature, there you go. It's like, it gets a really sweet signature move, so like Diamond Storm Moonblast is hard to switch into, gets some nice utility options, gives me another Stealth Rocker, because I think up to this point I have this, I have 2 Stealth Rockers, I believe. So this and Necrozma. So not the widest array of rockers in the world, but this thing, I think it's gonna put in some work just because it's super bulky. Its stab combination is really good. It gets Heal Bell, Stealth Rocks, super good stabs. Like I said, it gets Rock Polish, but I can't imagine that's ever usable. Trick Room, which is neat if we ever want to set up Trick Room, because my team is relatively slow. I don't know. I think it's going to be good. We'll see. Only time will tell. This completes my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. My Dragon and Steel, I think, are nuts. This thing is on a lesser level, but I still think really, really good. And then my last pick was Scyther. If you know anything about me, you know, sorry, that was a really long pause. I had to take a breath, and I was trying to make it not obvious, and then I just told you. If you know anything about me, you know I love sort of like really bulky Eviolite mons. So I love Piloswine, love Rhydon, love Scyther. I also like Mischievous. That was my initial pick. I was like, I'm gonna pick Mischievous here because it's a ground immunity. And then I was running that by Randy and Rue, and they were like, yeah, Mischievous sucks. And I don't really think, I thought about it, and it's not even that I didn't think about picking Scyther and Scizor in the same draft. So now I have that sweet double Mantis core, which is not a thing and is probably not great, but Scyther's got a good set of stats. Like, it has the same base stat total as Scizor. So when you hold an Eviolite, I don't know why I typed in the wrong thing. It has the same base stat total as Scizor. So when you hold an Eviolite, it just gets really bulky. Like, it has 70 HP, 80 defense, 80 special defense. So when you hold an Eviolite, you can assume that its bulk is 70, 120, 120 base. That's wild. It's super bulky. It takes hits that it should not be able to take. I think I was running calcs because I had this in the PGBL last season, and I was running calcs of this thing versus, I want to say it was the stupid speed boost mon, no, not Excelgor. Now I sound stupid. I'm gonna type in spikes, 'cause I know I get spikes and people use it as a spiker. This is a lot of work for Scolipede. This is a lot of work for like a random one-off thing. And I think this thing lives like a +2 rock slide from a Scolipede. Someone can correct me if that is very wrong, but I'm pretty sure it did at least. If it didn't, I'm just wrong. This is a very long setup and build up to a story that didn't even end super intelligently. The long short of it is this thing takes hits really well. Obviously it has a massive stealth rock weakness, but if you look at my team, I think we have that covered pretty well. We have a decent amount of defoggers, and this Swellow and Incineroar I think are my only stealth rock weaknesses, right? So we have some stealth rock weaknesses, but it's not like half our team, so we can definitely play around it. But I don't know, I'm just a big fan of these sort of like bulky Eviolite users. This also gives us a mon that has a base speed over 100, so it's base 105. Its attack stat I think is like 110. Let me go back. I think its attack stat is 110. Yeah, its attack stat is 110. It gets Sword Stance, it gets Roost. My favorite set is just like Sword Stance, Roost, U-Turn, Wing Attack, or Aerial Ace, whichever. I think you always go Aerial Ace because it can't miss. But I think Wing Attack has more PP, so I don't think PP ever really... I mean, if they have a Pressure Mon, I guess. I don't know. The moral of the story is, that's my favorite set. This thing also makes a really good Scarfer because its Scarfed U-Turns hurt. And as long as you give it sort of like an odd number of HP, you can switch into rocks twice if you can't remove the rocks. And I don't know, I really like Scyther. I hope that we get at least like a couple Scyther kills in this league. It would also be really cool to bring Scyther and Scissor along with like the rest of the team just resisting fire, because the double Mantis core requires a lot of support. But yeah, so this is the team that we drafted. I do like this team a lot better than my sort of like draft 1 cycle team. I think that team was good. It had good aspects to it, but it wasn't me. I don't know. I think I just kind of felt down on it because when I inherited it, I was already like 0-1 at -6 differential. So I don't know. I think that gave me like a negative feel on the team, and also it was just, there wasn't as much bulk on the team as I typically like to have. There wasn't as much utility as I typically like to have, and I super did not like the Mega. I do not like Mega Absol. I don't know. That's a weird thing to gripe about. It really is. It's mind-boggling that the Mega on the team was so upsetting to me, because I really liked Latias and I really liked Mamoswine, but whatever. And Empoleon, I mean, like, I learned that I really like Arcanine now. Like, I love Arcanine. It's a sweet mon. But anyways, I'm really excited to use this team. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. It's got its flaws, like the speed tiering isn't fantastic. We do have a lot of setup mons, which I love. You know, I love a good setup mon. I think we have a good amount of bulk. I think we have a good amount of utility. We definitely have a lot of hazard control. Like we have 1, 2, I'm not gonna count Swellow as a defogger. So we have, well, I guess I have to if I'm saying we have good hazard control. We have the Scissor, the Silvally, the Swellow, the Tentacruel, and I guess the Scyther. Those are really bad hazard control options. But we have 3 really good ones. We've got like slightly differentiated hazards. I typically like more, like I like having access to one of each. Like I like having access to webs, spikes, toxic spikes, and rocks, because I think that is dope. But we at least have access to rocks, toxic spikes, and that's it. We don't have webs or normal spikes, but whatever. I like the team. I like a lot of it, what it does. We have 100% sleep-inducing move, 100% paralysis-inducing move, good setup sweepers, good bulk, a lot of momentum. Just let me know what you think. I'm kind of done here rambling. I feel like, how long is this video? We're at like 31 minutes recorded. I don't know when I started, so I've definitely been rambling for a while. I'm sorry that I just talked your entire ear off. And, you know, let me know what you think. Like the video if you're stoked that I get to use this team now, and tell me in the comment section down below how I'm bad because I didn't like the first team, or tell me in the comment section down below how this team is bad and I will still heart your comment. Follow me on Twitter. Link to my Twitter is in the description down below. You can join my Discord or like at me on Twitter. I'm looking for people to recruit into sort of like a front office type thing. I started one today, so we'll see how that goes. I help. I got help with a build today, and it was fantastic. So, all right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done rambling. I'm done wasting your life. I love you. Thank you for watching this, but I'm kind of done here, and I gotta leave. Okay, bye.